Thank you for tuning in to our special version of the episodes. We are doing something called Our Favorites. And so for today, we are going to be talking about our favorite Christopher Nolan movies. The Batman just came out, so it's got us thinking about Chris Nolan's trilogy. And then we're just like, you know what? Let's think of all of Chris Nolan's stuff and pick out what our favorites are. Jake, what is your favorite?
It's totally Tenet, man.
Really?
Hold on. We got to go backwards.
Hey!
Are you the protagonist? Or would that be the inverted? I don't know.
I can't even think
inverted antagonist?
I can't even think of a reason why I like that movie.
So what actually?
My actual Christopher Nolan favorite is Dunkirk. It is just...
Which is also mine, but we don't want to double up.
So I'm just going to talk about the reasons why I love it.
Go for it.
It's all practical. I love that about Christopher Nolan. They actually, got in planes, strapped cameras to planes, and you can feel that. And I think the more I think about his movies, I think that is the one that is the most humanly relatable. It's got the most actual heart to it, because like you talk about something like Interstellar, we're watching the world die, but it's like, well, at least back then it felt pretty far off. Mm-hmm. And this one, I think it's different when it's a historical event and it's told in obviously a non-linear fashion, as that is Christopher Nolan's
it's what he likes
sort of motif.
Nice.
And it takes a couple of watches to really catch on to what the actual timeline is. At least for me, it did.
It took about the second time for me to realize when things
line
like
up. When they, I do really like also how the cast is going to sound really horrible. The cast is kind of interchangeable because they all look the same.
That's what was interesting, is because I wasn't like hooked into the character, which I know is the whole point of it. It's not the characters. It's just
the protagonist itself is the collective army. Yeah, and I know a lot of people who criticize it for that. Like, there's no one to latch onto. There's no one you get to know. And I go, that's the point.
Yeah,
it's a big scale. There's a lot. It could be any of these. Like our main character, Whitehead, or however you say his name.
That for me is hard. That's what made it hard to get into it. Is I can appreciate everything that he is doing behind. I can appreciate the direction. I can appreciate the sound design, the cinematography. But the fact that there's no characters to latch onto it makes it that much harder to be.
Some people don't like the sound design because it is just very loud.
It is kind of loud.
I'm not a sound mixer. I don't know that stuff, but it's loud.
It does seem kind of off balance in the same way that the Lord of the Rings trilogy can be a little off balance in its sound design sometimes.
The Dark Knight is even more nefarious for that, where the action is so loud and the dialogue is
I feel like
it's not as bad as I feel like Tenet was the absolute worst.
Tenet is his worst movie in my personal opinion. I'm not gonna argue that any which way. It just is.
I think we agree with you.
There's another criticism of Dunkirk, not to talk all negative because I love that movie. Because he was so insistent on using as little CG as possible, that beach does not look like it has 400,000 people.
I was going to bring that up because we've talked about that. I think it's Atonement
Atonement's Dunkirk sequence is much better the visual of
the only kind of counter argument I have to that is I understand what you're saying and I get it. But I think in Nolan's movie, I think the emotion of it is more. I've never seen Atonement, so
I like Dunkirk better than Atonement. I'm saying because Atonement's not just about Dunkirk, but that's one sequence.
But for me, when you're on that beach, it's not about seeing how many people there are. It's about the implied feel of it. And it feels very tense. Like you feel backed up, especially with the opening shot being the way that it is, the opening sequence. You really do feel backed up into the beach.
And the main character is backed up because he's trying to take a dump the whole time.
Yes.
I forgot.
He is.
The whole time? I thought it was just that first sequence.
No, remember he tries to go on the beach again. That's where he runs into the other
guy.
Yeah, there's a couple times it's like this poor dude just wants to empty the tank and he can't.
Also, of the movies I have seen Mark Rylance in, which I think now is 3 that I'm aware of.
You've seen
Bridge of Spies.
Don't Look
Dunkirk,
Up.
Don't Look Up.
Those are the big
no,
ones
you have
I
not
can
seen
think
Trial of Chicago 7.
I've seen part of it. So I guess 4-ish, 3.5.
He's a good actor.
This is my favorite role of his because I just feel like in Bridge of Spies he didn't really do anything.
But he got an Oscar for it.
I understand he got an Oscar. I'm just not sure what for.
You want to know what I love really quick is the fact that I think he just likes putting things over Tom Hardy's face.
Yep.
Making him
That's the other thing about Tom Hardy's career. It's like, how many movies has Tom Hardy not had something over his face at some point?
I also love that what's his name? Michael
Caine?
Yeah, is the voice of the ground control.
Yep.
The air controller. Something about that, something about the way, like, again, I don't want to push too hard on, like, practical effects are so much better than computer animation because it's a balance. But it's something about those air shots still, like,
I will say
when it was in a normal theater, when it was in IMAX, when it's on my TV at home, I'm just like, wow, look at that.
I do remember walking out because I saw it in the theaters like the first weekend or like the second weekend I was out. And I was just thinking like, wow, it felt like, that Disney ride Soarin'? Like where you're like, they strap you in and they kind of like turn you.
I think so.
It felt like that. It felt like I was legitimately just like moving through the air because, the in-flight cinematography was absolutely perfect.
And then the ending of it is great too. When they come back and they feel like failures. Am I thinking of the right movie?
Yeah, and
they're on the
like,
train and he's looking at the paper and they're sold as heroes.
What is it? Where the guy's handed him stuff and he's like, but we, what is it? All we did was retreat. He goes, that's enough, or survive. That's enough.
No, that was the dude that handed him the blanket that said that. Yeah. I'm talking about when they're actually on the train and when he reads the paper.
The Churchill speech.
That is a beautiful way to end that movie.
Yeah, I did.
Tom Hardy looking at the plane.
That was
that was a little bit before it, but yeah.
No, it's during the speech.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that the shot from the trailer, like where he's like standing back away from me and it's like off in flames?
Yeah, and then the Nazis or Frenchmen come over the hill.
That's a good shot. I really like that.
That's the one shot. Okay, so on a con sort of way, that's the one thing, the one shot where I was really weirded out, and I think it's because it's just so different. When Tom Hardy is gliding across the beachfront, and
he's out of fuel. Yeah.
And he's in front of the houses when the camera is off of the plane looking down at the plane and you see the buildings moving behind the plane, it does not look like he's actually in a plane. It looks like he's in a green screen. Now, I think that might be because it's just such a different shot.
Did they break the 180 rule? Is that it? Because we kind of had a angle here on his face, right? Like on a leftward angle.
That really doesn't break the 180 rule. It's 90 degrees. It would theoretically be 90 degrees then. I just think that entire movie is set within the cockpit or on the wing of a plane.
It just makes it feel weird when they move.
Yeah. Especially when there's not another plane in the sky.
That is true. Yeah.
And that is your favorite?
That is my favorite Nolan movie.
Yeah. Awesome.
So it's funny. My favorite Nolan movie is Jake's favorite. And my second favorite Nolan movie is Dickey's favorite. So, because I'm a nice guy and I like talking about this, I'll go to my third favorite, which is Batman Begins, which is my favorite of the Dark Knight trilogy. I don't think it's the best movie in that trilogy, and there's one big reason why the Dark Knight, in my opinion, is just slightly above. Because I love the aesthetic of Batman Begins. It looks great. Mm-hmm. I like how it's a much more nightmarish, comic booky Gotham City than... Because the Dark Knight... It basically looks like Chicago. It's a crime movie with Batman in it.
Yeah, they didn't do much to it.
I was reminded of this watching, because, The Batman, the new one, just came out, and I was thinking about, like you said, other Batman works, and when I rewatched some clips of Batman Begins, I go, wow, that shot looks great. And then it showed some action scenes, I go, wow, that looks terrible. It's Nolan's up-close shaky cam that he fixed for The Dark Knight, but the action in Batman Begins is not very good. It is aged poorly.
I feel like
that's the one thing
in The Dark Knight. Wasn't.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I feel like the action in The Dark Knight, while at least the shots, like the way that they were directed and edited, like the long takes, I like, but the actual throwing of punches, it felt not as, I don't know.
Yeah,
that's where I liked where Batman Begins. I feel like it was more like ninja based because he was studying with Ra's al Ghul.
But they're really close, and the
camera work was worse, but I think the actual stunts themselves were better. If that makes sense.
Right. It's 2005. Every action movie, thanks to Bourne, is doing the shaky hand cam that you can't see anything. Yep. And I like the Bourne movies, but that's kind of what they did to early 2000s action movies.
Was that in the first Bourne movie? I only really remember it in the Ultimatum.
I feel like it's in all three.
It was, okay. But we've just peppered throughout all three.
Yeah, I think of and it's a cool fight scene, but when he's fighting the guy in the apartment with the pen in the first movie,
yeah,
one that scared me. It's like he just picked up a pen and beat someone with it,
No, that's.
But then also, it's moving so fast and cut so quick, and we're so close. You don't see everything that's going on, and it's covering the fight choreography that we don't know how good or bad it is because we couldn't see most of it. But that's often what it's covering, because when you do back out, it does look slower. Mm-hmm. I get that, but also the close-up stuff just doesn't look good.
Yeah,
but but Batman Begins overall, I think captures Batman better than the other two movies in the trilogy.
Yeah,
it's a better Batman movie, but it's not the best movie.
You know what I really appreciate about it? Its use of color and shadows to hide some of those weird looking things. It's definitely the most. I don't want to say it's the most stylized of the three because
of the three. Yeah,
but like you've said to me before, it feels the most like a comic book. Like a place that doesn't necessarily exist. Yeah. Like all of the structures that we saw in Batman Begins don't seem to be present in The Dark Knight.
No, and it got a more noirish feel. I think it got a cinematography nomination too, and well deserved.
Oh, did it really? Great. That's awesome. I didn't know that.
And what's his name from Game of Thrones? Joffrey. That little kid's in it too for one scene. He's a little kid that he sees on a balcony.
Really? Mm-hmm. I didn't know that he was in there. That's kind of cool.
Yep. I've not seen Game of Thrones, but I know that little bugger.
Oh,
I hear the actor's nice. It's like nothing like his on-screen character.
I mean, you kind of have to at that point. You can't be like, yeah.
Yeah. I watch Batman Begins every couple of years. I'm just reminded, man, I really like this movie. A 4-act structure. Example, I don't want to hash it out right now because I might mess it up, but there's a great video. I think Just Right did a video on it, saying this is a 4-act structure that you don't see very often, and it works really well as that because it's building up to. If the build up to him becoming Batman is really good, him being Batman is also good, but that build up that's how you do an origin. Now we did get another Crime Alley scene, which
we did, but
but nothing about the new movie. Just It does have those things that we're used to, but it did...
At that point, when did this come out in? 2005.
It set the stage for future grittier superhero movies. The Dark Knight is one of the big ones, but I think Batman Begins is also up there in influence because, look how they focus on him. It's more of a character study movie.
Absolutely.
Does Iron Man get made as a character study movie? 3 years later.
That's what I was going to say. Honestly, I think he has a really good point. I think if it wasn't for how well Batman Begins did, I don't think Iron Man would have gotten made like it.
What do superhero movies look like without Batman Begins? Because no one was going for the grittier approach.
Superman Returns.
Right.
I'm serious.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
You mean where...
They came out the same year. Look how different they are.
Overlong, self-righteous, trying to incorporate campiness into it, and it doesn't work because it looks so washed out.
Now, I'm going to be fairly honest with you. I love Brandon Routh as Superman.
Oh, yeah.
He was playing that Christopher Reeves Superman and I even love Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor because...
Unfortunately, he's one of the best parts of that movie.
Yeah. And some of the themes I really enjoy, but it's just weird. and overly long.
It's a lot of boring.
For a Superman Returns movie, we sure get a lot of his backstory, but then never an explanation as to where he went that he's returning from.
As most people say, he saves that plane out of the sky, and it's really cool. And then nothing else cool happens for the rest of the movie. Except, what does the kid play? What was the kid playing? Was it like chopsticks or something? Or hot cross buns?
Something like that. But I thought him lifting up that kryptonite rock planet thing was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It just comes after 2 hours of...
Well,
that's crazy. I did not realize that
you saw it in theaters.
I saw it in IMAX. I saw it in 3D IMAX. I hated it.
Oh, God.
And yeah, I still have that big Superman collection.
Well, you're completionist, aren't you?
That's true.
Whatever. Yeah.
Also, these years came out during one of the best years of Smallville. So, Superman, yo.
I'm just impressed that those came out at the same time. Because, Batman Begins is so much
better.
It's way better. And
if those action scenes are better, I'd say that's better than Dark Knight. But that's the one big flaw.
I really like the way they did with Scarecrow, too.
Some people don't like it. I feel like they should have let Cillian Murphy get campier. Because the couple times when you can tell he wants to, it's like, man, this would be so much more fun as a villain. But there are multiple villains. You got Ra's al Ghul. It's funny, they say Ra's al Ghul when I think it's pronounced Raish.
Yeah.
But in the movie they say Ra's. And then you got, what's his name? The gangster guy. Tom Wilkinson plays him in
Falcone?
this. Thank you.
Oh.
I think he plays Falcone.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's like a minor villain because he's in the scene, the I'm Batman scene.
That is the one thing I will say about Christian Bale's voice. It's
did you
so much.
Did you ever watch that movie, Batman Begins, and watch that scene and think, man, this is going to be one of the most iconic Batman scenes and statements ever.
When he pulls him through the roof of the car.
And he says, I am Batman.
I'm Batman.
I don't know. I think Michael Keaton's Batman did it way better.
I mean, Michael Keaton's also a great Batman.
Yeah.
I think Bale is good.
The I'm Batman voice. I feel like it nailed it.
It's because he didn't change the voice at all for either.
True.
I think the first one to change it between in the cowl and as Bruce Wayne is Kevin Conroy in the animated series. Started doing it, and then everyone else started doing it because it is true. Like if you're around people you know and both personas, you have to kind of change your voice. Now the Batfleck did it right because it's a voice thing that made sense,
nothing else he did made sense.
Yeah,
but Bale's voice is the most tolerable in Batman Begins because by middle of the Dark Knight you're like, I'm getting really sick of this voice. And then the third movie,
could tell in the third movie you could tell he was getting you could tell he was getting sick of it too because he was going in and out of it during lines like, are you ready to do this?
Well, how about when everyone knows who he is and he's still doing the voice?
I know.
And people can make the statement, well, when he's in the suit, that's like his real identity, like that's him. And it's like, yeah, but he doesn't really need to do the voice anymore.
All right, and then my favorite is Memento. One of the issues that I have with Chris Nolan's movies sometimes is that they feel like they get too big and too cerebral, and they try to make you feel all wonky about time and space and whatnot.
Murph!
Literally Murph! Whereas I feel like Memento is where he takes all that Christopher Nolanisms and shrinks it down.
Did Christopher Nolanisms exist yet?
Yeah, I was going to say that was before
second movie.
That was before he got big, wasn't it? So it has to be
contained because it has to be a smaller budget.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which you know what? Really quick, on top of me saying Memento is my favorite, can we try to make a pact about stop trying to give Chris Nolan $300 million to make movies?
I'm gonna say a lot of people would disagree with you because he's kind of bridging the gap between big blockbuster, big budget, and the more director-driven auteur stuff.
I know he is, but I know I'm not supposed to talk about Memento, and I will talk about Memento, but give me 1 second because Tenet.
He dropped the ball on that.
Me up. Tenet has me going back and looking at all of his movies, and being like, "Am I overthinking this? Did I like them more than they actually are.
Yeah, you like them better because of the name that's attached to them.
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly.
It broke the illusion.
It broke the illusion. It made me like...
You're just a Nolan film bro over here.
Exactly. I felt
For example, Interstellar, not as great as what I remember it being when it first came out.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie. It is a good movie. I have issues with it that make me wonder why people think it's this masterpiece.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Jared. You're my ghost.
You are my ghost. You're my ghost.
Okay, but yeah, back on
That was weird.
That was
back on
weird.
Memento now, and now you two touching each other.
I touched his hand, audio listeners. I touched his hand.
It felt warm and squishy.
I just really I am gonna try to work past whatever's just happening right there.
You don't understand us.
Yeah, I could say that. But okay, I'm thought straight. But yes, I like the fact that he was able to tell a story backwards. I think that's such a unique thing that only Christopher Nolan can do. And it works a lot better on a smaller scale in Memento than it does in something like Tenet. And also,
it is kind of a similar story, isn't it?
Kind of
now that I think about it, some of the pieces are different, but like...
Well, just because, like, the way, and again, this,
and of course, the way Memento works makes more sense. But
and this is the one thing that just like scratches my nerves is they use Polaroids, and I'm a sucker for old film stuff like that, and it makes me happy.
You do have a Polaroid camera in your backpack.
I do. And
you picked up that bag, not realizing it was open, and all that stuff came out, including your little camera. But it looked nice. I mean, I'm glad it wasn't in 5 pieces
because they build them moderately
for like a 30-year-old piece of equipment. Yeah.
Well, it's a newer one. But
is it?
Yeah. But I was gonna say that, the Polaroid pictures.
Sorry, 50-year-old. I did Dickey math there for a second.
Thanks. Yeah, the Polaroid pictures and like the tattoos and the writing on himself. I really, really like how they were able to just tie it in. And Guy Ritchie killed it. Right? That's Guy Ritchie.
Yeah, I need to watch that movie again. Do you know that there's a special...
Wait. Say that again.
It's not Guy Ritchie.
That's a director. Yeah. Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce.
I was like, wait a minute, Guy Ritchie. What's Guy Ritchie doing?
No, I knew his first name was Guy
Pearce. And then you got 2 Matrix people as the other 2 characters, Carrie Ann Moss and Joe Pantoliano.
That's right. Yeah, they were both in there too.
Yeah, literally the year after the Matrix 2.
Yeah,
the first Matrix movie.
Yeah, they did. Oh yeah,
a year or 2. Was it 2000 or 2001? Now I'm not remembering what year. In the same era, though.
Right. Yeah, it was like, it was
but
really
both of them are in it.
It felt like it really does feel like a late 90s, like early 2000s movie. Like, it's very, like, just thinking of, like, the cinematography, like, the way that it was shot. Like, it's very grungy and dirty, and it just makes it feel really lived in.
I think the end credits have a David Bowie song.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I think it's that one. I think it's something in the air. I think that's Memento.
It might be.
I could be wrong, but I remember hearing it. I'm like, I like this song.
Yeah. No, I absolutely ate it up. Easily my favorite.
It sounded like you said hated it instead of ate it up.
I ate it up. I consumed it with a fork and knife.
One thing that I really loved about it, they did a DVD release of it. It was a super special edition. Came in like a file thing.
Yeah, a dossier.
Yeah,
thing.
like a dossier.
Huh.
And there was a certain way. It was so weird. So
I know what you're talking about.
In the dossier, there were clues hidden in the dossier to lead you through the menu to get it to play the correct, like in chronological order.
Is one of them? There's like because his name is Leonard Shelby, right? And there's like a newspaper clipping that you can read from the movie that you don't see in the movie that basically tells you, it explains where he came from, why this is like that. And I
have it too.
Really?
Yeah,
Is that
I think it's on my copy. I don't have like the dossier outside, but I think it has the similar features.
I'm trying to think of
watching that movie in chronological order is so trippy. It almost doesn't make sense in chronological order.
That's so interesting. And was that like one of the first releases of the DVD?
It must have been. I have it. I got it from Meyer
because I think
way back in college.
That is
freshman year or something.
That is dope.
2005 for those wondering.
I think when that's right. The second time I saw it, it was me and a high school friend, and what we'd do is we'd each get ourselves a pizza and a 2-liter from Little Caesars. We'd drive to his house in his little stick shift, so I'm going getting motion sick. We'd get there, and we do a double feature. I don't remember what else we watched with it, but I remember we'd sit there and we eat a whole pizza and drink the whole 2-liter Mountain Dew. Like, we each had a 2-liter.
Boy.
And we're watching Memento. And we get done and we're chatting. And he really liked it, and I'm happy. So I'm like, let's go to special features. And we're going through like the menu, and like we didn't do the thing where you watch the movie in linear or straightforward, whatever you call it. But we did find like all these clues to like what's happening outside of the context of the movie. I go, wow, that makes way more sense. He's like, yeah, Wait, you didn't know about this? I go, no, I had no idea there were all these features to lead you to that. So I know what you're talking about. I love when they do that.
I'm about to go back and pop in my disc and see if it has any like those special features in it too.
Also, Memento, I believe, was one of the gateway movies that my friend Drew used to push me towards movies.
It's a gateway movie. It's a gateway movie.
Absolutely, because the first time I saw it was, I think, my freshman year of college when I was going to Grand Valley for film and video. Everyone's like talking about Memento. I'm like, okay, I should watch this. I'm like, oh my god, even more. Let's go, movies.
I think I was in high school. I think I was like a junior or a senior in high school, and I'd go to a pawn shop to buy movies, like cheap copies, and that was one of them. And it's on, like, you go to IMDb, it's highly rated. So to me, being 16, 17-year-old who's getting into movies, that's that gateway. You watch it like, this is a movie. This is film.
This is cinema.
Kino.
But it's a gateway movie. Pulp Fiction is another gateway movie.
Oh yeah.
What are some other like The Godfather? It kind of is as well, because that's like at the top of the list of greatest movies.
I knew this was because one of mine is 2001.
There's another one.
It's going to be kind of a weird one. I don't think you'll agree with it, but maybe Napoleon Dynamite.
I wouldn't call that a gateway. That is a very specific taste.
I think it's a more popular one, but for me, even though I don't like it now, it was like, wow, you can make good things with like really like
shoestring
no
budget.
money.
Yeah.
That's what it was for me.
You don't like it anymore?
The humor did not age well for me.
Oh,
it is something where people your age, like around your age, loved it. Like the people who liked it really loved it when it came out. It's not had much of a second generation resurgence. It's kind of stuck to its time.
If you want to hear some more gateway movies from me, Blue Velvet.
Yep, I love Blue Velvet.
So that was a gateway movie that almost pushed me off the movie bandwagon. If anyone is familiar with Blue Velvet, although I can sit through it now. At the time, not really. Blade Runner was another one.
Yeah.
The original.
The sequel's better.
Ooh, true.
Shut your mouth.
Dude, the sequel is phenomenal.
I will not deny that, but
it's a whole conversation.
That's a whole,
because I know the first one's in like your top 10. So I get it.
Casablanca 2 is another good gateway.
That's my second favorite movie of all time, and I will say, like, yeah, that's one of those gateway movies for me in that time, because There Will Be Blood is another gateway movie.
Yeah, that's another good one.
What else?
See, now we're talking about gateway movies.
I feel
when people start getting into movies, like into that kind of movie, the more critically acclaimed big name ones that aren't blockbusters necessarily, what are the ones they watch first that make them want to go deeper? It's a whole subgenre of movies where you can't really categorize it well.
It's like an AFI Top 100 kind of thing.
Yeah. But you did that in high school too. Yeah.
Me too, yeah.
Did you finish?
Yeah.
You watched all 100.
Oh no, I thought you were talking about me talking about my movie right now.
Oh no, I'm at the list.
But no, I did not finish that.
Nowadays it's easier, but when I did those lists, both the top 100 lists, it took forever.
Yeah, no,
because we didn't have as many streaming options.
It was my homework one summer before I started my high school that I went to for film and stuff. I had to watch at least 10 movies off of that list. It was a good summer. It was a great summer. All right, but do you guys have anything else you want to mention about Chris Nolan?
I do. There is one movie that it is tied with Dunkirk for my favorite. It definitely deserves mention. The Prestige. When you think about the Christopher Nolan formula, that is the one that executes it the best, the absolute best, because it tells you what's happening as it goes along, but keeps just enough out of your vision to keep it interesting. And when it goes crazy, you have some construct for what's going on. And the reveal is easy to understand, which is not a thing
That's a fair point. It's more understandable.
Yeah, like it's very I don't want to spoil it. Should I spoil it? It's an old movie.
Spoilers for The Prestige. If you don't want to hear them, then I don't know, mute your volume.
When it is revealed that he is a twin and that Hugh Jackman's character is duplicated and then dies, so he basically creates the technology that was basically just a twin between them. It's such a simple mechanic in like on paper and in the movie. It makes the entire movie make sense versus something like Tenet, where I still couldn't explain to you, even though they sat there for 15 minutes and explained. No, it wasn't even a try. They did explain it. They spoon fed it to you, and you're like, no.
I don't think they spoon fed you. They kind of just threw it at your mouth and said, "Here, try to catch it, try to eat it."
Like they did that whole thing where they like slowed down and talked about it too, and I still didn't get it. Like I rewound it like 3 times. I guess that makes sense, but no.
Yeah, that's why what we were saying about The Prestige. I think the early Nolan films they have the more contained. They're more streamlined.
Yep. But anyway, Prestige, another top one.
Nice pick. Any last notes? Well, Jared, you want to give us a quick shout out?
Oh, yes. Yes. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and you can listen to us on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts, and then you can watch and rate us and all that stuff on YouTube.
Absolutely. And thank you for listening to our debut episode of Our Favorites.
Our favorite.
I kind of like it. We're gonna keep up with this stuff. So stay tuned, and thank you for listening.